Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It is Veronica Burnett, your speaker and advocate for healthy relationships, your life coach, and all things encouraging, empowering, and educational. And I want to welcome you to a very special Coffee, Tea, and Me today. We are wrapping up Mental Health Awareness Month, and all month long, I've been bringing you some wonderful people, some experts in their fields to talk about mental health, wellness, mental health. I'm getting ahead of myself. And let me just say the reason for Coffee, Tea, and Me is to bring women together to talk about the different things that we experience in our lives and then leave with solutions, leave with tools that we can use to help us create the life that we've been destined to live. And again, I am a life coach and I coach women who have been through traumatic life situations and are ready to begin living again, but they don't know what is next. So I help them figure out where it started, where they fell off, how to get back on track, and then move forward and live the best life they can starting today. So at the beginning of the month, I had my wonderful friend, Michelle Jackson, and she is with Reasons to Hope Foundation. She is the founder, and we talked about mental health. I don't know why I keep getting that mixed up. Mental health. And she talked specifically about the addiction being one of the symptoms or one category of mental illness. And many people didn't know that. I was not aware that it was considered part of mental illness, but she shared that with us. And then on the following week, I had Latasha Wells with Wellsness Matters, and I had Janet Polite Penn with Hit Refresh. She's known as Coach J, and they talked about how our physical health impacts our mental health. And so they gave us some great tools to use how to get started today. Latasha can be found at wellnessmatters.com. That's WELLSNESSMATTERS.com. So you can find some of her products and supplements that she's curating now, especially the elderberry syrup. It is wonderful. And then Janet has a 5-day challenge that is coming up to help you get physically fit. And did I mention that it's free? So DM Janet. You can go to Janet Polite Pen and just send her a DM, and I'll put all of that in the comment section so you can reach out to them. But again, the 5-day challenge begins on June 1st, and you want to be a part of it. Then today we are wrapping up Mental Health Awareness Month, and I'm bringing Michelle Jackson back, and she's going to expound more on gambling as an addiction. And you may not see gambling as an issue for you, but maybe someone that you know. Or you can replace the word gambling for some other addiction that you may have or some other habit. But I encourage you to listen in and learn and take some notes because I'm telling you, the information that's going to be shared is going to be very helpful. If not for you, then someone you know, someone you love, someone you may encounter later in life. But this platform is to give education, empower you, and encourage you to live your best life. So, again, Michelle Jackson, I'm going to give a brief introduction of her and her foundation, and then I'm going to bring her on so that she can talk with you and share with you. And I do believe we may have another guest in a little while. And oh, wait, I did that too fast. And Reverend Richard Davis Jr., and we know him as Reverend Rick, and he's going to be here talking more about addiction as well. So, Michelle Jackson is with Reasons to Hope Foundation, and their main goal is to bridge gaps in human care system by providing trauma-informed, non-clinical recovery and peer support services to individuals, families, and groups in healthcare, school-based, hospital, and other community settings. This is just a little bit of what she does, but I promise you, there's so much more to this lady. So I'm going to bring her in. I don't have the claps in the background, so we're going to virtually clap for her as we bring her in. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you, Veronica. Good morning. Good morning,
Good
everybody.
morning. Good morning.
I so appreciate you, Veronica. You are the absolute best coach, I
Oh, you're
must
so
tell
sweet.
you.
You're
Um,
sweet.
Reasons to Hope Foundation and Better Days with Veronica here, as well as Southern Friendship Missionary Baptist Church,
Yes.
partnered to bring this wonderful mental health awareness program to the community because there is a growing concern about problem gambling. Most of us are unaware. I know I was actually when we were awarded the grant. I began learning much, much more. And oftentimes, when people gamble or just playing games, actually, and end up spending money. I know I have personally, even on Candy Crush. I have spent money. I never went overboard, though. I can say that as a result of reading. I just want to share some facts about gambling disorders with you all. We're grateful to the Maryland Council on Problem Gambling, which awarded Reasons to Hope a mini grant. And we are very thankful for the Maryland Center of Excellence on Problem Gambling, which is a wonderful resource center that is. I will be providing information for their center towards the end of the show, where anybody who's watching us can go and pull down those resources and get connected to professional help as well as peer support um, and community support. So here are 9 facts, key facts on gambling disorders. The variety of terms, used to describe gambling addiction, pathological gambling, compulsive gambling, problem gambling, probable problem gambling can be confusing. For now, the emerging consensus in the scientific community is to use the term gambling disorder. So that has been proposed in the 5th edition of the American Psychiatric Association's Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, known as the DSM-5. As Veronica said, we are not clinical people or clinicians. However, nothing prevents us from accessing information, and we're here to share this with you. So, number one, approximately 1% of the adult population in the United States has a severe gambling problem. Number two, the most recent research estimates that 6 to 9% of young people, young adults, experience problems related to gambling, a higher rate than among the adults. Preliminary research indicates that ethnic and racial minorities have higher rates of gambling problems than the adult general population. The current diagnosis for pathological gambling includes several criteria similar to alcohol and drug dependence. Increasing tolerance, for example, needs to gamble more money to achieve the desired excitement, symptoms of withdrawal if gambling stopped or reduced, and inability to stop or reduce gambling. Criteria such as chasing losses are unique to gambling disorders. Wow. People with gambling problems often have many of the same risk factors that predispose individuals to other addictive behaviors, just like Veronica said. Other psychiatric problems, such as depression, an unstable home life, and lack of peer or community support. According to the National Comorbidity Survey Replication, 96.3% of the lifetime pathological gamblers also met lifetime criteria for one or more of the other psychiatric disorders assessed in the survey. Research does not substantiate the belief that some games, such as online poker or slot machines, are riskier than others. People can get into trouble with all types of gambling, from sports betting and the lottery to bingo and casino games. Although there is no treatment standard for gambling disorders, therapies such as cognitive behavioral therapy, motivational interviewing, and drug treatments appear to be promising. And finally, people with gambling problems do recover. In fact, approximately one third seem to recover on their own without any formal treatment. And when I said that's it for this fact sheet that I pulled down from the National Center for Responsible Gaming online. And that website is www.ncrg.org. And I'm sure we'll add it to the list of resources. And I believe our guest has sent a text about the link. So thank you for that, Veronica. I'll
Yeah.
turn it back over to you.
Okay. Give me 1 second. All right. So now, thank you, Michelle. So now I'm going to give you a brief introduction of Reverend Richard L. Davis Jr., and he is the founder of Just Enough So You Stop Incorporated. And it is an acronym, says Jesus Inc. I love that. And they are a 501c3 organization which has provided training for individuals who desire to become addiction counselors, offering training to churches who wish to start drug programs, youth counseling, mentoring, drug prevention classes, and also provides food and gifts during the holidays, as well as Wizards and Mystics games. Let us welcome Reverend Davis to the platform. Good morning, sir. How are you? Oh, you're muted. Let's take you off mute.
Good
There you
morning.
go.
Thanks, Veronica. It's been a rough morning. I was just in a leadership meeting with my pastor, and then I had to run out of there and get ready for this. But I'm glad to be here. Thanks for the introduction, and I want to see what we can make happen today.
Okay. Do you want to tell us a little more about what you and your organization does, and then we'll bring Michelle on to we can start the questions and the information.
Okay. Just
Okay.
enough currently. Right now, what I'm currently doing is weekly we provide a streaming show via Facebook through the WBGR Health and Wellness Network. And the show is based on, it's around mental health, domestic violence, addictions, and recovery. And what we do weekly is we bring on guests of all sorts to discuss various topics about this. We like to say that Just Enough is your place for help, hope, and healing. And we've been on since November, and we've done, God has really blessed the effort. We are the third ranked show on the network. We get roughly between 14 and 1,500 views a week, and we've been broadcast as far as Jamaica, as far west as California, and all up and down the East Coast. So I'm excited about what God is doing, and I'm just trying to make sure that he gives me strength to continue, because I tell you, I feel like the James Brown of ministry, the hardest working man. I tell you, but it's all good, and plus I hold down a full-time job. So, it is what it is, but I'm just glad to be uh I'll put it like this. I'm glad that he is using what he has provided me to help other people, because my mission before he takes me away from here is to leave the world a better place. I like to say that my service to God, my mission is to be of maximum service to God and my fellow man. And that's it.
I love that. I love that. One of my coaches would tell us all the time that her mission is to change her corner of the world every day. So she's using what God has given her to do just that. And she trains coaches to be coaches.
Okay.
So thank you so much. All right, we're going to bring Michelle back in. All right. All right. Let's see if we can change this up.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Rick.
Hey, what's up, Michelle?
So I know we didn't get to rehearse any of this. And so I'm just going to go through some of the questions that were provided so that our viewers and those who watch the replay can figure out what we're doing. But first, this is coffee, tea, and me. So I want to break the ice a little bit. Today, I don't have coffee. Today, I have my green juice. It is cucumber and gala apples. And it's very, very, very good. So,
Mm.
Michelle, what do you have?
I have mushroom tea. It's an
Wow,
instant I found at the Yes Organic Market. It helps to focus, helps you with focus and energy without the caffeine.
mushroom tea. I've never heard of it.
It's mushroom coffee.
Coffee. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And I know you just came from a meeting. So, what do you have?
See, y'all making me feel bad, Nancy, because all I had was like a cup of Lipton tea. I mean, come on now. Come on, really? This is how y'all going to do me?
You
This, so this is how this is going to go today. Okay.
No, listen,
Okay.
we have all three. We have coffee, tea, and we have juice. That's me. So you kept it together. All right. So the first question, either of you can answer. I'm going to mute myself right after I ask the question. Either of you can answer. I'm going to say this to the audience now. I am not an expert in this field. That is why I brought them on. And um I hope that you all will engage with us. Give StreamYard an opportunity to see your name so that we can post your questions and your comments on here. It helps with engagement and hopefully that you get your questions answered. I know that you will. If you do not, then you can always reach out to Michelle and Reverend Greg. I'm sorry, is that okay to call you that? Because that's what I know
Yes,
you as. Okay.
please.
All right. So you can reach out to the both of them, and I'm going to put their information in the link so that you can find them, as well as the resource link for the resources that Michelle gave on problem gambling. That can also be found on my website, and I have a link so you can easily just click and go straight to it, the one that you provided before, Michelle. All right. So first question is there a relationship between gambling and substance use?
Is there a relationship? Yes, there is.
Mhm.
What you'll find is that individuals who abuse substances will often use gambling or turn to gambling as a method for gaining resources to be able to purchase their substance of use. Uh, and sometimes it's looked at as a casual thing in I'm gonna say it like this, but I hope everybody understands in their social setting of using. People tend to gamble when they're drinking, they use, and what happens is that one individual in that group may have a substance use disorder that's greater than everybody else, but they may take things a little further than the rest of the group. So yeah, there is a connection because it's used as a method of resources, and they do have similarities. Gambling and drug addiction, they do have similarities as far as symptomology goes, but we'll get into that a little bit later.
Okay. Anything to add, Michelle?
Nope, just that confirms the fact that I shared earlier about people with gambling problems often have many of the same risk factors that predispose individuals to other addictive behaviors
Mhm.
and psychiatric problems like depression and instability, unstable homes, and things like that.
One thing that you mentioned, Michelle, that stuck out to me and that I find when coaching some of my clients, one thing you said that they're chasing losses, and that can be any loss, not just a monetary loss, but the loss of a friend, and you're trying to fill it with something else, the loss of a job, and you're trying to fill that void with something else. So knowing that one thing can lead to another is really important, so that you can pay attention to what you're doing, what is your process, and is it leading you down the wrong path. And then intervention programs such as yours, and the one for Jesus Inc., it are really great places for people to go when they see that they are starting down a destructive path. So the next question: what is considered problem gambling? And I know you gave a little bit of it, Michelle, early on. You gave a list of it, but can you or Reverend Rick expound on that just a little bit, so that people will know what it looks like, because there are signs that are not so obvious for people. Like you mentioned, playing games on your phone. Like I know I will go to a game and download it and get angry when I need to take it off so that I can make room for something more important. But even something as simple as that, shopping and overeating. So what is considered problem gambling?
You want me to take that, Michelle?
I do, and I want to make a recommendation, and you guys let me know if you agree. I think Reverend Rick has prepared a nice presentation program, and that perhaps we can save those questions till at the end of that presentation, because some of those questions may very well be answered. So I'll turn it over to Reverend Rick.
Perfect. And
Well,
you and I can go to the background, and Reverend Rick, you can go for it.
okay. Well, Michelle kind of got us out the gate with that list that she presented. Now, what I would like to do is, like, first of all, let's define gambling. Um, Gambling is actually risking something of value, and it's usually money, on the outcome of an event decided at least partially by chance. Like when shooting craps, you're betting on a chance that you get the right number. With the lottery, you're taking a chance that I have the right three numbers, the right four numbers, the right five numbers, the right lottery number, the right Mega Millions numbers. You're taking a chance. Okay. So you're risking money on the outcome that you not even sure of. Okay. So that's what gambling is. But then you have different forms of gambling. You have bingo, horse racing, you got the lottery, you have your casino table games, your roulette, your blackjack, your poker, you have slot machines, raffles. And what's becoming really big is sports betting. The pools that you get in the office where you put your initials in the block and you give somebody a certain amount of money and they pick the numbers and you sit there in front of the TV and scream because the team kicked a field goal, but you didn't have that number, so it puts you out of the mix. Sports betting has become really, really big now, and you have the arcade games. You have your apps now that you can go to. You have DraftKings. You have these fantasy games that you can pick the athletes. You even select teams like you're an owner, and you actually use that team, and you're betting money on the outcome of the team you put together beating everybody else. And I'm gonna take y'all somewhere where you probably didn't realize it. Besides fantasy sports, the stock market can be considered gambling or an investment because you're risking money on an outcome you're not sure of. Okay. So, with that being said, 44 states have lotteries now, including DC, Puerto Rico, and U.S. Virgin Islands. 31 states have Indian casinos. 26 states have commercial casinos, like your MGMs and things of that nature. 9 states have what's called racinos, racetracks. 8 states have non-casino slot machines where you can just walk in the store and there are slot machines there. But 44 states, as of 2019, 44 states uh, had legalized or bills for sports betting on the docket. The total gambling gross revenue in 2012 was 94.47 billion. Now, in 2018, it jumped to 161.24 billion. Now, it's probably even more now because we've got more casinos. But the thing of it is that the way that they get us is they say, we're going to take some of this money and we're going to put it toward the school system in the state that we're going to put it toward various programs. But then you look up, the schools are still shot. The teachers haven't gotten a raise. The programs, the curriculum still aren't meeting the needs of our children. So we fall in, but we never see the actual fruit of the labor. Uh, One of the issues that we have is what's happened is the normalization of gambling. We have lottery advertisements where, you see people, uh, looking like they're having fun, or they make these commercials so joyous, and they go after the dopamine systems in our brain. Dopamine is the pleasure chemical in your brain. Like, if you thought right now, think about your favorite food right now. Think about it for a minute. Your favorite food. I bet you smiled. That was dopamine being released into your brain. So these advertisements are purposely developed to be able to attack those specific things in the brain. They have marketing experts that develop these things, and they become an attraction. Now, think about somebody who's on the cusp of having a problem gambling issue. When they see these people standing on TV with these super big checks, and people smiling and grinning and dancing, and, I'm going to say it like I need to say it, shucking and jiving on TV, and we get excited and be like, and we see the Mega Millions is up to 700 million, 800 million, and everybody goes, well, if I spend $100, I'm gonna get with this group and we're gonna spend $100 each. But at the same time, there's somebody within that group that can't afford to spend that $100. Let me keep moving because I can stay forever. I'm not gonna put no money in the meter yet. We're gonna keep it pushing because I know y'all got questions. But then, included in the normalization of gambling, you have religion involvement. Like, you have, and I'm not ostracizing any particular group. I'm not doing that. I'm just speaking what I'm speaking of. And when I'm talking, well, like a preacher would say that I've heard, I'm just talking about what I'm talking about. You have religion involvement. You have various religions that actually have these casino nights, and they have bingo games and things of that nature. But are they taking in consideration the individual in the church who has a problem gambling issue? Because that person with the problem gambling issue isn't going to say anything. They're just going to show up at the event, but then they're going to show out at the event. uh, School and group fundraising, it's a normal thing. Newspapers, they're advertising it like mad. You see on ESPN, perfect example, they have the poker tournaments on television, where the guys are winning millions of dollars, but we don't know their stories. See, we don't know what's behind it. But if you watch people, sometimes you can tell who has an issue because of the way they respond when they lose or when they win. Gambling has become somewhat of a rite of passage. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. The societal acceptance of gambling, it's like, okay, we're just gambling. We're going to the casino, we're going here. It's like, it's become such a part of everyday society that, what, everything's cool with it. We got casinos popping up like weeds out of the ground, and everything's okay. But then here's the biggest one: the media focus on the winners only. See, the media will tell you about the winners, but they won't tell you about the losers. They won't tell you about those who have struggled, or those who spent their light bill or their rent money, or damaged the kids' college fund, or their retirement money. They won't talk about that. And they won't talk about those who have won all that money and then have lost it. You very rarely see that uh, TV show that says, the lottery, the people who won millions and lost it all. Um, but that's part of the normalization of it. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about the various forms of gamblers. You have what's called your social gamblers. Now, not everybody who gambles or buys a lottery ticket is a problem gambler. Let's be clear about that. You also, it's the same thing with drug addiction. Not everybody that takes a drink is an alcoholic. Not everybody that has smoked marijuana or smokes marijuana is an addict. Okay, let's go there with it. Now, social gamblers, they have the experience is enjoyable. Some people can go to the casino with their 25, 50, $75, whatever their limit is, and they can spend it, but they can have a good time. They might even win a couple of dollars, or they might even break even. But it's an enjoyable experience. It's looked at as entertainment. It's entertainment, y'all, for social gambling. This is entertaining. You go out, you have a nice dinner, you say, hey, let's go to the casino. You walk through the casino, you drop a couple of dollars or a couple of quarters, a couple of pennies, whatever you spending in the machines. But when you hit that limit, that's it. You know, but you have a set limit before you go in. You just don't go in and say, I'm gonna just play. They gamble with others. You sometimes you engage in that activity, with some people. But see, here's the big one. Like I said earlier, you limit the amount of money spent. Then you stop when you hit that limit. You gamble for short periods of time. You don't do it for days on end, because what you'll see in a problem gambler is that they may start gambling at a casino. Let's say a casino. They go in the casino on Thursday, and you might not see them till next Thursday because they've been at the casino the whole time. But then you have those who call themselves professional gamblers. We'll tap on that a little bit later. Um, but social gamblers, their gambling has no interference with with other parts of their life. It doesn't cause any issues financially. It doesn't cause any issues socially. The family's intact. Everything's okay. They struggle just like the rest of us. But they're able to do what they do without gambling interfering in their life. It doesn't have a spiritual effect on them as well. But problem gamblers, excuse me, problem gamblers, they gamble longer than they planned, because they have a plan. They say, well, I'm going to go in here. I'm only going to be in here a few hours. I'm going to just, I'm going to go in here. I'm just be here for a little while. You know, they'll say, I'm only going to spend this $200. That's all I can afford to spend. But then they have losses more than they intended. See, that 200 turns into 1,200. Okay. Then they start to borrow money for gambling. You get those phone calls at those weird times, and they say, "Hey, hey, I need a favor. Let me hold $1,000 for a couple of weeks." They start to borrow money from different people. And if any of you have experience with drug addiction, these sound familiar, because they are similar, but they're different at the same time. Uh, the problem gambler has prolonged losing episodes where they don't win at all. They continuously lose. They might win a little something, but they give it all right back plus some. Then they start, because it's a problem and people start to notice, and somebody may say something, they start to lie about the amount that they gambled. When the wife or the husband starts saying, hey, how much you spend the other day? Oh, I only spent a couple of $100, when really a couple of hundred was 2,000. But then they get back into gambling harder, because they're trying to win back what they lose. Okay, they're chasing their losses. And then at the end of the line, the relationship problems begin. Now, the Diagnostic Statistical Manual, uh, it's called the DSM. That's called the clinician's Bible. This is how people or therapists, counselors determine whether or not you actually have an issue in a certain area. Okay. And the DSM has criteria, right? And you have to have 4 out of 9 criteria to be considered to have what's called a gambling disorder. Now, here are your criteria. These, in other words, in layman's terms, these are signs and symptoms. Okay. They need to gamble with increasing amounts of money. Okay. The key word there is need. Okay. Then they're restless or irritable when attempting to cut down. That's almost like withdrawal from substance use. When you stop trying to use substances and the substance is leaving your body has a reaction because your body and brain has a reaction because it's used to having a certain substance or it's used to you doing certain things. So when you don't do it, your body notices it, your brain notices it, and it says, wait a minute, something's wrong. So with gambling, you become restless and you get very irritable. Okay. So then you have unsuccessful attempts to stop or control. Everybody tries to stop. Okay. They try to stop or they try to control it. They'll say, well, this week I get paid on Friday. So when I get paid, I'm only going to, instead of spending 500, I'm going to spend 250. But then that 250 they said they were going to spend turns into 2,000, 3,000 or more. They're preoccupied with gambling. It's you wake up in the morning, you're thinking about gambling. You at work, you're thinking about gambling. You leave work to go gamble. You gamble while at work. Because see, now we have access to the internet and you can go on internet and play internet poker all day. All you got to do is put your debit card or credit card number in and you can play as long as your money is in the bank. Okay. Now, here's the other part. They gamble when feeling distress, when they feel guilty, when they're feeling depressed, lonely, isolated, things of that nature. They'll gamble because it gives them a sense of replacing those things that they feel are missing. Okay. Uh, some more of the DSM criteria, signs and symptoms. They chase their losses. You lie to loved ones about gambling. It does damage to relationships, job, or your education. Okay. And then you borrow from others to gamble. I'm gonna pop back up to the damage to relationships, job, or education. What happens is they begin to borrow so much money from different people that they were friends with. It causes stress because the problem gambler never pays back or have to be reminded to pay back. And then it's an argument that ensues because the problem gambler is irritated because they've lost so much. And here you come calling for your money back and they don't have it. Okay. At work, they borrow money from people at work. They're losing time at work, you know, and that causes issues in those areas. Now, these are some common features of all addictions. I hope I'm making sense so far. If I'm not, please put it in the chat. Say he ain't making no sense. But I'm gonna give you some common features of all addictions. Right now, what you have to remember is that addicted folks across the board have some of the same characteristics. They're common features. So even with shopping, eating, sex, money, power, religion, you can have an addiction to anything. Okay, an addiction to negativity, an addiction to social media. You can have those. So here's some of the common features. Now, the first one is preoccupation. You're preoccupied with whatever that thing is, especially when it's problem gambling. So I'm gonna keep it right there because this is what we're supposed to be talking about. You're thinking about the activity all the time. You relive past gambling episodes, and this is what happens. It's called euphoric recall. Is reliving the past gambling episodes, but only the times where you won, not the times where you lost, but where you won. Okay, that's key because when you relive those victories, quote unquote, what happens is it sends a message to your brain and it encourages you to say, you know what, I can do it again. I did it once, I can do it again. but I'm gonna slide this in here for you. Sometimes we always say they'll slide God into the equation. God blessed me once, he know I need it now, so I'm gonna take this mortgage money, and God know, and I'm gonna tap on something that may pluck a nerve. Or you take that tithe money that you're supposed to be putting in church, and you say, God, you know I need, but you don't really need, is that you want. Let the church say amen. So you also plan for the next bet. They're planning. It's part of preoccupation. I'm going to bet on this horse. I'm going to bet this race. I'm going to do this. I'm planning it out. Okay. Any other activity, all other activities take second place, no matter what it is. No matter what it is, right? You develop a sense of what's called anadonia. Anadonia is the inability to feel pleasure. Okay. They so preoccupied that it's not about pleasure. Okay. It's just about betting, the activity, the excitement that they get, the rush that they get from gambling. Now, the primary focus is to exclude everything else. You're not worried about anything else but that activity, that gambling. Okay. And then your family, your job, your friends, your faith, all of that becomes secondary. Whereas you once were social, you're no longer social. Okay. You're now, you find yourself isolated in a casino or somewhere in an after hours joint, betting and drinking and carrying on all night. All right. Now, first is preoccupation, then there's tolerance. Okay. Tolerance is a need for the increased bet to attain a certain high. Okay. Tolerance with drug addiction is needing more of the same thing to get a certain effect or to get the desired effect. But in gambling, you have that increased bet amount to get where you want to go. You instead of betting $100, it goes to 200. It goes to 500. It goes on. It increases each time because it provides you with the rush that you're looking for. Now, as the brain and the body sensitize to this, more is required. Okay, you need more of that. You got to have more of it because your body is now being sensitized to that. And it's like, this is what I need. Okay. Now, the other part is what used to provide you with that little buzz, the little high that you got from gambling, it doesn't work anymore. There's a constant need for more and more. Okay. And you have what's called physiological activation. Okay. Which means it affects you uh, psychologically, socially. Well, that's biopsychosocial. Um, Physiological, mind. Okay. It affects your mind. All right. It triggers something in your mind. All right. That's tolerance. But then you have progression. Okay. There's a change in the intensity of the activity. You become now more focused and intentional and intense in what it is you're doing, especially with the gambling. You watch every roll, every push of the button on the slot machine. You're focused in, you're leaned in on the machine like I just leaned into my camera. It's more intense, you're more focused. People are moving around you, but you're not really paying them any attention because you're so focused on that next seven popping up in that third row, or those three bars popping up along all three rows so you can win big across the middle. Don't y'all ask me how I know that. But as gambling continues, the gambler becomes more invested in the activity. See, it's the activity of gambling, not the occasional event. That's your progression piece. But then you also have withdrawal. And yes, there is indeed withdrawal from gambling because when you stop, it provides a disconnect between the mind and the body. Okay. Now, your mind is aware that something is off, but it's not too sure what it is. Okay. But then the physical and financial reinforcement is gone. And you have frequent complaints of boredom and restlessness. See, When you stop doing something that was, when you, let me put a pin right here. Let me put a little bit of money in the meter. When you do something for so long, it becomes a part of who you are. And what happens is when you take that thing away, your brain and your body both react to that. Just like when you're used to eating certain foods all the time, and you go to the doctor and the doctor say, wait a minute, you got high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and diabetes. We got to do something before this gets out of control. You can have no, you got to cut your sugar intake, you got to cut your caffeine intake, you got to stop eating all the greasy fried foods and all them potato chips and stuff. And when you start trying to do that, what happens is your body sends a signal and you become restless because normally I'm watching a certain show. I got my potato chips, I got my soda, I got all kinds of junk. I got my Snickers, my peanut chews, I got all kinds of stuff. And I'm enjoying my television show. But when you have to stop all of that, you know, your body notices it because you've put it in it for so long. It's made the adjustment to take it, even though it may be bad for you. Same thing with gambling. You do it so much, it's provided you with a sense of belonging. It's given you, that's your sense of fellowship. That's your social activity. You take that away, and what happens is now your spouse or your bae or your boo, so whoever it is, sitting with you, and y'all used to have date nights, but date night turned into his casino night or her casino night. But now that you trying to stop, you sitting at home and you're looking at TV and you look at your boo and you try to get close and they give you the old like you're bothering them or something. Y'all know what I'm talking about. So and then you say, what's wrong? I'm bored. And they can't sit still. They're pacing around. They're in the refrigerator. They in the bedroom. They in the basement. They back upstairs. They go out to the car. They smoking cigarettes at 100 miles an hour. That's because they're restless and they're bored. Okay, that's part of the withdrawal process. Now, how intense has gambling gotten? It's gotten so intense now that you can bet on in-game events during the game. You can on the radio. I listen to a lot of sports radio, and every commercial now, and and this was dropped in my spirit, and I started paying attention to it. Every commercial, every time they turn around, or part of the segments of the show, these guys talk about how they bet on games and how much they lost, or then they announce, brought to you by DraftKings. If you use my code, Rick Davis 23, they're gonna give you $100 to bet. You know, and you go, okay, they're gonna give me if I use his code. The problem gambler saying, okay, that's 100. I got 100. I can win something. But you can bet on whether a team makes a 3-pointer. You bet $1. This is how they get you now. You bet $1, and if any team hits a 3-pointer, you win $100. But here's the catch: to be bet further. They don't say you can cash that $100 out because we know somebody gonna hit a 3-pointer during the basketball game. But you can't pull that $100 out. You have to bet that $100. And not a lot of people pay attention to that. But then they also don't pay attention to the guys who run those radio shows, those broadcasters, those uh, announcers, those facilitators. Those guys have money. It doesn't mean they don't have problems gambling, but they have money that they can burn up like that. Okay. Now here's where it gets a little different. Problem gambling affects all ages, from the young to the old. There's a quote by a gentleman, Dr. Ken Winters, that says, this is the first generation of youth to be exposed to relatively easy access to a variety of gambling venues, widespread gambling advertising, and pervasive social approval for an inherently risky activity. That was well stated because it's true. This is the first generation to have this pushed in their face like this. when we were growing up, and I can share this transparency moment. When we were growing up, when I was growing up, I'm 56. Praise the Lord. Uh, you heard the only thing you heard about was number runners, people shooting crap, and maybe the occasional casino trip. That's all we heard as children. My family was heavily involved in numbers running uptown, and that's all you heard. You know, you weren't exposed, and they did their best to keep it from you. If you found a number slip, my grandmother would take it from you. I'm like, Grandma, what's this? She said, "That ain't none of your business, boy." And she'd take it and ball it up and slip it to my grandfather, or she put it away, so that we couldn't have access to it. But now, with the internet explosion that we've had, our kids are exposed to everything, even the little games that my 7 and 8-year-old grandchildren play. They have, after you get to a certain level, you have to, they can get to levels, they get free levels, but then if you want to go further in the game, you have to buy something. And I had to warn my daughter and say, hey, wait a minute, watch how you do that. Because what you're doing is you're introducing them to gambling. And we sat down and had a conversation about it, and she's very, very select about what she does. So that's one of the things you all might want to be mindful of. You're introducing them to gambling because they're taking a risk. Okay. Then you have some kids who have actually stolen parents' credit cards and put information in so that they can continue to play the game. And you get your credit card bill, and you know that your credit, you had a fair amount of credit on your card, but all of a sudden, or you get alerts on your phone saying $500 was just spent on, I'm gonna just say Candy Crush, Candy Crush. You start getting those alerts, and it's like, wait a minute, I'm not playing Candy Crush. Who's playing Candy Crush? And your child has stolen your credit card. So you want to be careful as to how we introduce this to the kids and how far we let them go with it. Another quote, Dr. Marvin Steinberg: the rite of passage has gone from starting drinking to starting gambling. It used to be, get a boy a drink. Oh, take your first drink, sip this. Nah, now it's about gambling. Shoot these dice, play this number. Give me 3 numbers, give me 4 numbers. We introduce them to it at a rate that we're not even aware of. Now, we're going to look at gambling, drugs, and alcohol in a brief snapshot. Okay. All of these are painkillers: gambling, drugs, and alcohol. They cause physical distress, they cause family illness, mood swings, they bankrupt you emotionally and morally, because after you get to the problem areas with gambling, drugs, and alcohol, you will violate any morals, any values that you have in order to achieve either that next high, to get that dollar, to do whatever it is you want to do. Okay. It causes also a neglect of responsibilities. Okay. And it has industry similarities. There's an appealing focus that's placed on gambling, drugs, and alcohol. Let me give you this for an example: the legalization of marijuana all over the place. Now, I understand that marijuana outgrew corn, and it's potentially an a crop. I'll say a crop that could actually balance the United States budget. It could cure the deficit. But here's the thing: we won't benefit from it. We can have that discussion later, because I know that got some of y'all. Yeah, yeah, we can have a discussion later. But they make it seem appealing, okay? But they're not looking at, see, this country has a history of whatever it can't control, it legalizes, taxes, and benefits from. But who actually benefits? I'm having a Malcolm X moment, so let me keep it pushing. Okay, gambling, drugs, and alcohol continue. There's a biological dependence on the pleasure path in your physical makeup. It provides tension and relief. Now you say, wait a minute, how can it do both? It does. You're tense when you're in the activity. While you're doing it, there's a sense of relief. Same thing with drugs and alcohol. Okay. Before you take that drink, you probably tense. Before you smoke that joint, pop that pill, smoke that rock, snort that blow. Guess what? It provides tension and relief. Okay. Then there's a loss of spirituality, and you lie to cover up your behavior. Okay. Now, at any time, we can take a break if we need to, so that you all can we can get the questions in, and we can deal with that, because I can do this forever. But right now, what I want to do is ask, do you all want to continue? And I need Michelle and Veronica's input on this. Do you want me to continue, or are we going to pause for a moment?
I'm
That
I'm
was
I'm taking notes right now. I feel like I'm a student. Michelle, come off of mute. This is so good. I'm trying to keep up with you and posting and
I got a
making
bunch of
sure that,
notes.
yes, I have notes. This is so good. I don't want to stop. Michelle, do you need to
I
jump in? Because
I don't. I just wanted to know if we were going to 12 or 12:30, because we have
we're
an
going,
evaluation for whoever might
right.
be out there. I'm not able to tell how many others are with us, really.
well, let me just say this now. Thank you for saying that, Michelle. I'm going to post in the comments the survey, but I don't go to the survey right now, everyone, because Reverend Rick still has more information to give us. And I have the link, but I want to give it just in case someone has to go. But it's really important that you complete that survey for us. We really, really value your information and your input so that we can make this program better and more succinct, and bring you more valuable information, and answer the questions and get to the root of everything that you're thinking about. Also, if you have questions, you are free to put them in the comment section. I'll read your question. If you have comments, I will post them if you want me to. But I'm good. I have nothing to add to this. I am a student today. I just appreciate everything that you're sharing with us today.
No problem. This is what we're going to do, because I want to make sure that because this is for the people, and I want to make
Yes.
sure that they get a chance to be heard. And this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to cover the next 3 or 4 slides, and we can come
Mhm.
back. Take it to like 10 after 12. Is that good?
That's fine with me.
Yeah, we can do till 10 after 12. And
Okay.
then we can, that way you can get the evaluations done, and we can hear from everybody else, because I really want to, because I know I made some comments that folk want to comment on. Um, I do, yeah, I do that.
You had a, I was
But
right
I
with you
want,
with that Malcolm X moment.
yeah, I've been known to have those Malcolm X, Huey Newton, Fred Hammond moments, right?
Um,
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 So don't pay
okay.
me no attention, y'all. I get excited when it's stuff that I'm passionate about.
Mm, and
So
that's
I'm gonna go till 10 after, and then we can
mhm.
come right back.
Yeah.
And regardless of whether I'm completing this or not, but Michelle, we can talk, and Veronica, we can talk about how we can make this. I can make this available to you so that you can make it available to other people if they just
Mhm.
want it. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
All
Okay.
right.
So Michelle and I are going back, ladies and gentlemen. Stick with us. I am going to put the link. Do not leave because there's so much more to this. Okay.
All right. Okay. So we're still dealing with the gambling, drugs, and alcohol similarities. We have denial is a common response to confrontation. What happens is when you speak to somebody or confront the issue, denial is the first response you get, and it's going to be strong. And it's a common response amongst gambling, drugs, and alcohol. Now, there's a high relapse potential as well. Now, once a person uh, comes into the process of recovery, what happens is, because they were wrapped up in something that's so intense that provided so much for them, there's a high relapse potential, because we gravitate to what we're used to. were what provided us with relief. So with gambling, drugs, and alcohol, there's a high potential for relapse, you know, and that's to be expected. Gambling, drugs, and alcohol also, it controls a person's whole life, you know. Now here's the similarities. The first drink of alcohol is like the first real win for a gambler. And here's the good thing. Well, I say the good part. What happens is you chase the high. See, because it's not about the winning, it's about the high that's associated with the winning. Okay. So with drugs, like the first time you smoke the joint, you will never be that high again. You'll never be that high. So every time after that, what you're doing is you're chasing what you experienced the first time. Uh, I'm going to move forward because I want to make sure that I get you all this information in terms of, okay, working with individuals, like with working with parents who have a child that's developed a problem gambling uh, disorder. Remember this, parents, you're not alone. You are not alone. Involve a skilled person outside of the family, because the child or the adolescent isn't going to listen to a family member because they know you. I'm sorry, that's the truth. It is what it is. They're not going to take your advice on this because their mind is going to quickly shift to the stuff that you do that wasn't right, or the stuff that you told them you used to do that you came out of and you're okay. So you want somebody outside of the situation that you trust, skilled, that can help you all navigate this. Realize that the gambler can't simply just stop. They can't. It's an issue. It's an addiction. They can't. It's a disorder. They can't just stop. If they could, they probably would. Okay. Here's the other piece. Take a firm stand. Don't enable them. Don't say, I'm not going to tolerate this no more. I'm not going to stand here for you doing this gambling and you running up all these bills and this, that, and the other. And then you give them your credit card because they sit in the room for a week and act like they don't want to come out. Okay. Understand the gambler is lying to themselves just as well as you. Okay. And they believe their lie. Okay. Tell them you deal behaviorally. You tell them you recognize there's an issue. There's some behaviors that have taken place that, you know, that aren't beneficial to you, you know, and you deal with it from a behavioral perspective, not you doing wrong, not pointing the finger or dropping the hammer, you know. Then you got to encourage change. You don't just say you got to change. No, you encourage them. Look, I know you can get past this. I'm going to help you get past this, and this is how we're going to do it. I know it's going to be rough. I'm going to hold your hand. I'm not going to criticize you. I'm not going to belittle you. I'm going to support you until we get you to the place where you are free from this. Now, for the partners, these are the actions that you should take. Seek support from other people people who are in position like yours, like Gamanon. That's a beautiful place. I went to a Gamanon meeting and I was surprised at how, as part of my certification process, because I am certified in problem gambling, it was surprising the support that people got from others in the same position that they are in or were in. You want to explain problem gambling to the kids. You recognize your partner's good qualities. We got to operate from a strength base as opposed to a weakness base. And I'm going to say it like that. Okay. We got to operate from the strengths and not, emphasize areas of needed improvement. For those of you who want me to do it appropriately, let's call it that. Now, you got to remain calm when you're talking to your spouse or your partner about gambling. You got to be calm. I know it's driving you crazy. I know you want to choke them, slap them, punch them, kick them, all that. But nope, we're not promoting domestic violence on this program. Okay? Remain calm. Get in your and get in your happy, in your smooth voice. Get in that place where you're talking to them and it doesn't stress you out. If it means you got to get that cup of chamomile tea to have a conversation, get it. Just don't get drunk and do it. All right. Let them know that you are seeking help for yourself. You say, hey, look, I'm getting some help with this because I don't know how to help you, but I'm getting some help from me with it. Okay. Let them know. And then is the big one, ask for control of the money. If they really want to get help, you got to ask. Just say, hey, look, let's do this. Since you've acknowledged you're struggling, I want to be able to control them. I need to be able to control our finances. And along the way, I will let you know what's going on. I will keep you involved. Because what you don't want to do is have them feel like you're cutting them off at the knees, because that's an alley they can take and backdoor you and try to. The other word I use for manipulation is emotional blackmail. Okay, because they're good at that. All addicts are. I used to be a pro at it. That's another session. All right. Here's what you shouldn't do. Don't do these. Do not preach or lecture the gambler. Please don't, because they shut the door on you. They'll never hear you. Please do not lose control of your anger. Do not make threats or ultimatums unless you are willing to carry them out. Okay? Here's a big one. Don't gamble with them. That defeats the purpose. Saying, well, if I go gamble with you, maybe I can control the money. They will lose you. They will drop you like a bad habit and get lost in the crowd and you will not find them. And you look up and both of y'all be broke. All right. Don't exclude them from the family life. The things, the barbecues, the outings. Don't exclude them. Going to church. Don't exclude them. Ask them. You want to go? Come on, let's go. Make sure that they're part of that. Don't expect immediate recovery. Okay. And then here's the big one. Do not bail them out or cover up their stuff when they have done wrong. Okay. I'm going to run through these real quick because I want to get to the recovering piece. Don't bash or badmouth them. Don't take financial control away from the kids. Don't use the kids in a parental battle. Don't counsel the kids like this. They'll get over it. Don't say you're just like the gambler. Don't lie or tell half truths. You got to be willing to own the truth and be okay with it. Recovery is possible. And then I'm gonna hit this slide and then we're gonna be done. We're gonna get back to it. The stages of problem gambling recovery. The critical phase is the initial. They got to deal with their resentments. They have to see compulsive gambling as a disease. Okay. And it is, because it's chronic, progressive, and fatal. Just like all other diseases, they have the same characteristics. Now, I'm not belittling any other disease that somebody may have lost a loved one to or may be suffering with now. I'm not belittling that at all. I lost my mother to cancer. So I understand how that could feel, but I'm not belittling it. I'm helping you to see how serious it is. Chronic, progressive, and fatal. Long lasting, it gets worse over time, and it could lead to someone's eventual death physically, but it also has a death spiritually and emotionally. Okay. In the critical phase, they have to take a realistic personal inventory of themselves. They have to reestablish hope. They have to rebuild friendships, and they have to develop or have an honest desire for change. Then in the rebuilding phase, they have increased self-esteem. Planning becomes realistic as to what they can and can't do. They redevelop a closeness to the family. They develop problem solving skills so that they can actually solve problems with real solutions instead of running because of the feeling the problem causes and going to gambling, which makes them feel good or provides a salve for what they're dealing with. their communication begins to improve. They recognize their self needs and they begin to help others. The growing stage is pretty much the final stage. They become more relaxed, they're open and transparent with their sharing, they have a sense of accomplishment. You know, they begin to make sacrifices for others, their spirituality grows through the roof, and they start to redisplay, they start to have over again, they'll have displays of affection. Whereas the affection was gone, they're gonna drive you crazy because they're gonna be all over you. Um, so with that being said, we're gonna pull back, and it's 12:10, and I like to be respectful of the time because the Holy Spirit can tell time, and it's time for us to all come back together. We can deal with questions, comments, or whatever. Thanks, you all.
Woo, that was amazing. And
Absolutely. Ditto.
yeah, I have nothing to add. I just want to tell you publicly, thank you so much. I know there's so much more that you can share with us, but before we get off, I just want to tell you thank you. I saw myself in a lot of these do not do's, and I appreciate you for sharing that and helping me to see myself today. Um, there weren't really any questions. There were people who were commenting today. I know that the information was great. A lot of people were saying thank you and commenting on they're not giving up their money, they're not loaning money. They learned that today. Um, yeah, definitely. But I thank you so much for giving us the whole breakdown from what it is, the not so obvious signs, the things that we didn't even think about, and then to give hope at the end that there is recovery and people can recover and live full, healthy lives going forward. So that's the good part in all of this, that it doesn't have to go and be fatal. You
Right.
know, if you make the decision that you want to stop and you see that you have that habit, then you can make a U-turn. Like you can reach out
Yeah.
for help, and there's help all over the place. I'm going to put the link in here for the resources that Michelle shared with us before, and anything that you have that you want to share with the audience. I can definitely get it to everyone, or you're free to put it in the chat or let me know what it is. Michelle, do you have anything else that you want to add? Because I have nothing. I'm a student today.
Are we going to launch the evaluation or survey in
Yes, the
here?
survey is live. It is I put the link in the comment section, and I will put it
Okay.
again. I'll put the link again.
Great. Great.
And
I
if
just
you all go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
can wait. Um
No, I'm done. Go ahead.
I want to thank Reverend Rick for the expanding my vocabulary. I had never heard of Anadonia, and I wrote it down because I'm gonna go look it up. But I appreciate it. I appreciate it because that I'm sure if I didn't know it, I'm sure that whoever's out there watching and listening might not have known it either. Um, and I just appreciate you helping us to realize how um, when we care for someone and we have concerns about their overspending or gambling or gaming too long and things like that, you gave us helpful and practical ways to approach them that will not come off as judgmental,
Mhm.
not come off as preaching, which absolutely shuts the door. So I just want to say thank you so much for that. And I do hope that we will bring part two um, at some point. I know you're very busy, and we all are, but I think that this was amazing.
Yes.
Thank you so
Well,
much for sharing.
well, You're welcome. I promised you that I would. Yeah, I'm busy, but that's all right. And Michelle, you like the mafia. I can't quit you. Yeah, I said it. I said it publicly. I said it publicly. I appreciate the opportunity to share. This is a passion of mine. I I honestly believe in helping our people find help, hope, and healing. Um, God has afforded me 24 years of experience in these fields, and I'm not going to keep it to myself. I'm going to make sure that our people have access to whatever it is that they need. Because that's just who I am. I'm I'm loving who God has created me to be. Um, and I'm excited about what's to come in the future. I'm excited for reasons to hope. You know, um, Michelle and I go back a little bit, and I knew from the time that we had our initial conversation that we were going to be linked for a while, um, because we see the same thing. We see through the same lens. We share the same passion, and yeah, we do have our fight the power moments where we band up and we have those conversations where it's like, Rick, we gotta do something. And Michelle has been a huge encouragement because I kind of fell back for a minute, and she would call me and be like, Rick, what you doing? What you doing? What you doing? And it's like, come on, man, you got to get in here with me. I need your help. Come on. And I said, okay. God was like, all right, dude, it's time for you to stop falling back. You gotta get out there. I know you want to stay background, but I'm gonna push you out here, and I'm gonna put you around the people that I need you to be around, and everything will work out. And I'm just trusting that process, and so far ahead. So, Veronica, now you part of my mission now. So so
Oh,
now you like the mafia. So when you hit me, I can't quit you either. So
no,
so,
no, I'll send
but
you those nice gentle nudges.
anything that I can do to help, um, please feel free to reach out. Michelle has my access information. I gave you my email address. I'm usually up till 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning anyway, working on something.
Oh
So
my
it
goodness.
doesn't matter. And
Mhm.
Michelle will tell you, we do those 3 hour conversations because we strategize and then figuring stuff out. But I believe that Reasons to Hope is going to be even a brighter beacon in the months to come. I ain't say years, I said months to come. So,
Mhm.
Michelle, your work is cut out for you, but I know that you're ready. And I got your back. So again, I thank y'all for thinking of me, and it's a humbling thing to be able to have people want you to do something. I really appreciate it.
Oh, wow. I love that. Thank you so much. This is what it's about, everyone, to come together to help the community and use what God has given us, the messages and the words that He's given us to help someone else, because that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to love our neighbors as we love ourselves. And so if we're loving ourselves like this, like he just said, I love what God is doing to me, then we need to share that with others and help our brothers and sisters live better lives in whatever way, in whatever capacity. So thank you both so very much. Again, everyone, you will receive just the survey from us. You'll receive it either in your DM. If you registered on Eventbrite, you will get an email from us to have the survey and let us know how we can better serve you. Um, and thank you all. Thank you so much. Michelle, anything else or you're good?
I am full. I
All
just want to
right.
say, on behalf of the Maryland Council on Problem Gambling, um, the Center for Excellence on Problem Gambling, Reasons to Hope, Just Enough, and Better Days, thank you all for joining us, and stay tuned for more good information. And thank you both for serving the community with me.
My pleasure. See y'all.